Here we have a pre-owned 2014 Chevrolet Camaro. This one comes in the 2LS trim level, so we get that automatic transmission. This color is the ashen gray metallic, and then we get black cloth interior. And the powertrain does consist of a 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V6, mated to that 6-speed automatic transmission. And this one has just a little over 104,000 miles on it. As we come around the front end here, we have our halogen headlamps. And then you do have a space for your fog lights if you want to put aftermarket ones on there. Just have a little bit of, a few scrapes on the front end, let me say that. Rock chips here, but the gray is actually held up pretty nicely, doesn't look terrible. And we just have a big scratch there. These are going to be 18-inch wheels. And somebody replaced all the wheel caps. Now as we come to the door panel here, you can just click aside, right or left. Then you can adjust your power mirrors. Power door lock controls are here. And then the windows are one-touch automatic up and down. You can pop your trunk here, have a little storage spot in that pocket. And then you can pop your hood right here. And then your headlamp control is kind of hard to see in there. But headlamp controls and then your gauge cluster light, you can adjust that there. Gauge cluster brightness, excuse me. And then we have a 6-way driver's seat here. The seat back is power, and then the bottom, and then to adjust the seat height, all that's manual. And then to actually get your seat to come forward, you can lean that up there to get to the jump seat in the back. Then come around the back end here. The trunk's open, but dual exhaust there. I will say I had one of these for about, from 40,000 to about 75,000 miles. And I didn't have any issue out of it. It was a V6 2LS. It was a 2012 model though. And I had two, I think those were 12-inch kickers in the back. Used to break the trunk latch. But loved the car when I had it for about 2 years. Just takes regular fuel. And then over here, we have our 4-way passenger seat with the 2-way power seat back. Just can't adjust seat height. Lockable glove compartment. This one still has part of the owner's manual in it. And I always like the space in this as well. But I had 20-inch wheels on mine. Mine had a rebuilt title, and I had very little trouble out of it. I just had to take it to a frame shop a couple times. Again, because it got destroyed on the side, and whoever redid it didn't do the best job. But there's that 3.6 liter naturally aspirated V6, mostly covered up. And sorry for the wind noise. We're gonna go ahead and hop in the driver's seat. So this one just has a bit of wear and tear on it. A lot of people who have these, because we like to hold the top of the steering wheel, it gets cracked around there, about 60, 70,000 miles. Usually is when you start to see it, and then it just gets worse over time. I've seen some with 200,000 miles that half of this is gone. But this one's in shape that should be expected. Over to the radio here, we do get AM, FM, and XM radio. And then we have an aux input as well as a CD player. And then I actually put an aftermarket radio in mine, and it was pretty neat because it had different controls and all that here. Hazards are here. Lock and unlock the door there. Then volume knob, you can mute it, and then this is for your tune knob. Then you can also hit the menu button and go through all that as well. And then AC controls, fan speed is this. You can control fan direction by hitting these buttons. And then over to the right side, you can control temperature. And then you have your defrosters here, and then your air circulation and your AC. So I actually liked having that. They did a really good job with just the layout of the buttons in general. A little storage here for phones, traction control button. You can just tap that. And then for the 6-speed, pull the lever, reverse, neutral, drive. And then manual mode, you do get paddle shifters behind the steering wheel. Parking brake is here. 2 cup holders. Center console cupping space, get a 12 volt and an aux input down there. And there's a view of the back seat from up here. And dome lights, you can control those off, doors, and then on. On starts in the mirror. And there are the AC vents. Now coming to the steering wheel, turn your cruise control on by hitting that button, and then you can actually toggle all of that there and cancel it. And then you have voice recognition controls here. And then you can actually,
thank you.
That starts as a mute button too, and then you can go through your track list or radio station presets here, and then click this button to go through your sources, and then you can adjust your volume there. Blinkers over here, and then you can use this to go through your gauge cluster, the digital part, scroll through that, and then this serves as a clear button, and then you can actually go through your menus here. So I'm gonna take a quick look through all of that. If you want to pause somewhere to see something. I like the performance menu, it's pretty nice to have even on this V6. And then high beams are there. I like that you can actually toggle them on and off without having to turn them off that way. And then to the right side of the steering wheel, you have your windshield wiper controls. So one time, then intermittent low, high, and you can adjust your intermittent here, and pull up here for front wiper fluid. And then this one has the fixed key, so it's not all one key fob, the key's separate. And there's the fob there. And now we're gonna go ahead and take this 104,000 mile 2014 Camaro 2LS out on the road for a quick test drive. So I just wanted to test out that manual mode really quickly. I've always liked the manual mode in the Camaro, specifically the V6, because that's what I'm used to, but it's always been a decent shifting setup there. And this one still seems to be in good shape. And one thing that always impressed me about this car is it would always be ready to go sideways for you, even though it's just a 3.6 liter V6, tons of power here. And it's just something about this body style Camaro, specifically for me, I'd say the 2012, 2013 models. Just always loved those. But great pull for a V6. And these are rated to give you about 30 miles per gallon on the highway. I used to get pretty good fuel economy even though I had huge wheels on mine. So this average fuel economy was about what I was getting when you do about 70-80% city driving and 20 or 30% highway. But wind noise is pretty well insulated in here. I can hear it, but it's not, I don't feel like it's blowing through the car. And then road noise is pretty unnoticeable. I can hear just a little bit. But I will say I've been in several Camaros and they never do seem to, like the steering wheel, I don't know if it's how it's actually put on here, if it's slightly tilted towards me, but it never seemed straight even when the vehicle was going straight. It always seemed like it leaned a little to the left. And I always thought that was because mine was rebuilt and got hit on the right side, but I think that's just how they drive. So I just turned the AC on, and something else that I've noticed, it used to happen in mine all the time, is when I would have the AC off and then I would turn it on from a stop, the idle just got interestingly loud. Not bad, but I could just tell the difference between an idle without the AC compressor on and then when it actually came on, it was a huge difference. Give it a little throttle here. So like I said, it's no slouch for a V6 engine. Very potent. Now the exhaust for a lot of people is not the best. It kind of sounded like buzzing bees. It never bothered me any, but there are options for you if you do want to have a very strong sounding exhaust. Some of them go a little overboard, but one of the many fun things about Camaros is there's something for everybody out there. So if you just want a deep throaty sound for your exhaust, or if you want something that sounds like cherry bombs, you can find that, and then everything in between. But these were a pretty good car, just in terms of reliability that I've seen. Like I said, I had mine 50,000 miles, and mine only went to the shop for mostly things that had to do with me not being sure about my rebuild title, just checking on things that I didn't think were done correctly. And this one, without having that issue, is driving pretty normally and pretty similarly to the one I had. So these just hold up pretty nicely. And like I said, with 104,000 miles, the biggest thing is the wear here. And this has a few scratches and dings from over the years. But I mean, it's a 10-year-old car. And everything seems to still be working correctly with a stock radio. Like I said, the only issue with this is because this is older, it didn't have the option of that Bluetooth audio. But you can swap a radio out with that and be done. Because the dash kits for them are not terribly expensive. But I also have a device, I'll leave a link below in the description if I remember, but it's a Car Pure Ride radio. I have a review on the channel, and you can check that out, and that'll be a perfect alternative to an aftermarket radio for $200-300, and you can just stick it on the windshield or stick it on the AC vent, and you'll have your wireless CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, and then Bluetooth and all that. But I digress. This will bring me to the end of my review of the 2014 Chevrolet Camaro 2LS.